Hi, I'm Sarah Kennedy from the Made for TV podcast. Welcome back to my roundtable. We have much to discuss. So, this is your spoiler warning. Go away right now, get on the iPlayer, and watch the latest episode of The Traitors. It is not one to miss. The rise of a sleeping lion. All the Welsh flags are now at half mast as we lose a dragon. It's all smoke and mirrors, and this is the most tense Traitors turret I've ever seen. Try saying that 3 times fast. It's very sad for poor Stephen because Mummy and Mummy are fighting. We knew this was going to be fireworks, but it's actually quite restrained. It's definitely those two managers at work who don't like each other. Fiona comes out and accuses Rachel of playing a solo game when she is exactly doing that herself. Fiona's grenade, she says, was in defence of Stephen, apparently. There's no contrition at all for what she's done, and she's quite clearly out to get Rachel. But then they have to kind of put a lid on it and get to business because they've got people to murder. Stephen is anxious about Jessie. He puts her name in the mix, and they also discuss Reese as well. Rachel says in VT that she thinks that Fiona's move was a bold move far too soon. Kind of gets why Fiona thought it was worth the chance and worth the risk, and it is a heck of a risk. So at breakfast, the faithful find out it's actually Reese who has been murdered. And bless him, he would not have been banished. His tears and his emotions struck everybody as being super faithful. So it was right for him to be murdered. And it did seem like he was getting less and less happy in this game, and that's just sad. So probably about the right time for him to go. Harriet's suspicions at breakfast are of Rachel. And Fiona wants to bring Rachel down inside of a day, I reckon. She's so madly confident with power. James is upset because he feels guilty. He went for Reese as hard as I thought he was a traitor. And the internet spoke up yesterday, and quite a few people went, I feel like I don't really know Matthew at all. Who is this guy and why is he in the game? Well, watch this space. It's all about to get quite exciting for him. In the meantime, though, we have the mission, and this one is actually pivotal for gameplay because I know a lot of people criticise the missions as being a bit by the by when actually all we want is the traitorous behaviour. So the teams are split into 3 for a fairy tale mirror walk. This is the questionnaire about players. The prize is to talk to the traitors in the walled garden. This is something that has not been done before. There's never been any communication like this, so this is something definitely worth playing for. Jessie gets most likeable, so she's Miss Congeniality of the season, but it makes me worry that she will be murdered as soon as Rachel and Fiona work out their differences. Some of these labels that they put on people are quite unkind. Ellie gets blandest and Sam gets most arrogant. The blue team win, and that is the team with Rachel in. Can she influence whatever form this conversation is going to take? So it's Harriet and Matthew who get the power to speak to the traitors, and also Rachel. She is very lucky, and she says so herself. So she's managed to take this chance away from one of the faithful, which she's absolutely delighted with. So what's going to happen is that there's going to be 2 questions per person, and of course the traitors could lie. Harriet and Matthew do feel the responsibility of this, and it seems to me that Rachel is going to do her very best to steer the conversation and try to plant the questions, but Harriet is super smart and she's already spotted this. And at this point, Harriet could just ask, is Rachel a traitor? And Fiona would just say yes. It seems to me like nobody really cares about the round table at this point in the episode because we just want to get on and see them talk to the traitors. So let's hurry up because nothing like that spectacular can happen here at this point in the game, can it? Oh, another curveball. So it's quite clear it's going to be Rachel versus Fiona, and Rachel calls out Fiona's behaviour as pantomime early doors, which I think is brilliant and exactly the right word for it. Fiona goes on the defensive and goes, "Stop calling me a liar." Rachel's response is, "Well, stop lying then." It's really interesting to watch tiny changes in the language that people recall others saying can sort of change what people meant, and people can say, "I didn't say that," but they kind of said the gist of it, but like the intonation and the meaning is changed. It's like the game Chinese Whispers. It's exactly like that. People get on the defensive about being misrepresented, even in just the tiniest choice of words. Jessie is so single-minded about Stephen setting up Ross in the library, and she's absolutely bang on, and I am cheering her on. But Stephen is not the vote tonight. Absolutely, ignore him basically. And then Fiona says if she was a traitor, she would be more subtle, which I thought was incredible. The things that she comes out with. She is very persuasive, though, in her defence and in her putting Rachel on the block. And she does sound very sincere. She also looks like butter wouldn't melt. And she's very funny, very charming, and very cheeky. Has she done enough? The big shock at the end to me was that Fiona leads the voting and she doesn't even vote for Rachel. This woman is chaos personified. Poor Stephen goes as pink as his jumper. He gets very upset and he votes for Fiona. Jessie swaps her vote from Stephen to Fiona. It's chaos. And by one vote, the Welsh dragon is gone. Poor Fiona. She played such a smart game in the beginning, and then she pushed it too far, too early, went too big and too bold, and she's gone. I am absolutely shocked, though, that she couldn't hang on for a little bit longer. She makes a lovely speech at the end, quite cheeky, about women of a certain age not being listened to. And she delights in telling everybody that she's a traitor. The room explodes with joy, and even Claudia looks really proud, which is very sweet. But then, that's not even it. The excitement for the night is not over. There's no murder because the traitors are busy chatting instead. So we get to see Harriet, Matthew, Stephen and Rachel arrive in this church where a confessional booth is set up. And what will happen is that the traitors are behind the screen and they communicate on their official traitors letterhead, write their information down and put it through this little slot, which is quite cute. Harriet goes in all guns blazing, saying Rachel is my number one suspect. And it seems in the chat that Jessie now thinks that Stephen is in the clear. Whoops. Maybe she's not my Jazza Christie of the season. So Claudia sets up this confessional moment as something that could really change the course of the game. And I'm like, really? Surely only if the traitors say something dumb. Well, enter Matthew. He's been so quiet. He's been so under the radar. Even the viewers haven't paid him very much attention. He goes in asking, who is the next person who you're going to murder? And the traitors replied, Jessie. And then he says something about how he wants the traitors to tell him the truth. He wants them to trust him and vice versa, which I think is an interesting plea. And basically, he says, as a proof of trust, I want you to kill Jessie, and then I want you to make me the new traitor. So his question to them is, do we have a deal? The brass balls on this guy. I'm so impressed. What a cliffhanger. So yeah, I'm ever so sorry, Matthew. I wasn't aware of your gameplay. What a terrific thing to have done. What a clever, clever use of your question to the traitors. Astounding, astonishing. Harriet is super smart, but I don't think she could use her moment with them any better than that. So here we are, the end of week 2, and it's been an absolutely phenomenal week. It's a delight that so many people are watching this, talking about it online, talking about it with their friends and family. It really is the sort of spectacular TV that only terrestrial channels can do that really brings the nation together, and it warms my little heart. So yes, I will see you next time, next week, for the start of week 3 on the Traitors. Laters, Traitors.